saying that the Diversity in Action Coalition, who Letitia is the chair, had come to me and to the School of Special Ed in the summertime and asked if we would be willing to do a program kind of more about communicating with people with disabilities. And we thought, what better way to do that than to have the students come and kind of talk about what their experiences are. We do have some handouts about effective communication with people with disabilities, but we sort of wanted to keep this informal, and the students have agreed to do that with us today. And I'll let Anjali introduce Pam, who's going to kind of moderate the discussion today.
Thanks, Sharon. I'm Anjali Misra, and I'm a faculty member in the Department of Inclusive and Special Education. And Letitia had this great idea, which I really appreciated, of putting together some sort of informational session regarding disabilities. And I thought, what better way than to hear the voices from students rather than faculty just talking to the audience. And so I'm so pleased that we got such a good participation and turnout with Sharon's help. I'd like to introduce to you Pam Charlson, who will be moderating the panel. She's an alumnus from the Special Ed Department, and she has also been over the past several years an adjunct faculty in our department. Plus, she has been providing consultation and been a great resource to faculty and students over the past several years. So I really appreciate her contribution to the faculty in our department and for moderating the panel. So I'm not going to talk anymore and let you take over, Pam, and I'll actually move to that side so I can see everybody.
Pam, before you start, can you just talk a little bit about your background here at the college?
I have a Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education and English Literature and a Master's in Special Education for levels K through 12. So I've been here for quite a few years. I know a few of the tricks and whatnot to get around campus and the things that we need to do. Obviously, our first question, Anjali has already introduced me, but my disability is cerebral palsy, and I also have a hidden disability that no one sees. That's inflammatory bowel disease, or also known as Crohn's disease, and that actually affects me more than the disability that you can see. I have a lot more issues I have to deal with that, but everybody sees the disability that I have and thinks that that's the big issue. Oftentimes, when I'm on campus, you'll see someone with me. This is Betsy sitting next to me, and she's my personal assistant. She follows me around while I'm on campus, helps me do the things that I can't do. I actually have a personal assistant with me 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'm the one that has to coordinate that. I have an agency that covers like hiring them and whatnot, but I have to train them and coordinate the schedule. So I juggle that on top of all the other things that we have to juggle. So that's one of the accommodations that I might have. So I'm going to let our panel get started. I'm going to start.
Alright, so I've seen most of you before, because some of you are my professors, and at least one of you was in one of my classes in here getting extra credit. Great for you. But my name is Josh, and my disability is I have cerebral palsy as well. It affects my legs, and it affects my eyes, which is one thing that a lot of people don't know, which is why I was so terrible at math, because I could never focus on those stupid numbers to get them to add right. Yes, I left a lot of broken math teachers in my wake. But it also affects my hands, which is why for a lot of my tests I have accommodative services where I go to Sharon House so I can type it, and I also have note takers, because if I had to rely on notes for my own handwriting, there's no way I'd be able to pick up half the stuff that's taught in my classes, even though a lot of it's pretty good. And I'm also diabetic too. Yeah, so basically that means I have to be able to eat in class, which once we get to a later part in the panel, I will tell you the story of how it was once denied to me. So, but that's another story for another time, and I will move on.
I'm Chad Allen. I'm a T4, T5 paraplegic. I'm pretty independent. I really don't need any accommodations besides I always talk to Sharon at the beginning of every semester to make sure that the classrooms are set up appropriately. But other than that, I'm really pretty independent. I do everything on my own. So.
Hey, I'm Sandra Cruz. I have ADHD and ADD. It's really hard for me to focus. I have a tendency of also being hyperactive. You won't really see it because I try to control it in class, so I try to like forcefully distract myself by doing something else, or I mostly will listen to music for me to calm down before I head to class. Also, like when I sometimes get really hyper, I tend to go out of hand and I'll like jump off the wall, not literally jump off the walls, but like I'll like just continue with my behavior, and then like my RA knows, and like other people who I work with, some like sort of know, so they know when I like act up, as you should say. They know that they'll tell me to calm down, and like I need somebody to tell me to calm down, or I have to think of something, or they'll just let me listen to music, and that's how I focus. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Shania Beatty. I have a visual disability. I see out of 2200 in my right eye and my left eye. I can count fingers. I don't really know the exact name of my disability because there's so many things wrong. I know one of them is glaucoma. I have had many cornea transplants, so it's kind of hard to keep up with everything. As far as me functioning in school, I try to be independent with everything I do. I do need to have enlargements, and I sometimes need to have things read to me. I need help with my tests as far as like bubbling, and the commendation office really helps me with that. And as far as note taking, I like to take my own notes, even if it is a little difficult for me at times. I need to have a magnifier to be able to see the board. I do not use a cane. I have one, but I don't like to use it because I don't like a lot of attention towards me. Yeah, so, you know, I'm mostly trying to do everything by myself, but if I do need help with something, I have no problem asking for it, but mostly everything I do on my own.
Hello, I'm Alexander Weber. I have Asperger's syndrome, depression, anxiety, triple whammy. That's a lot of fun. Basically, I'm an emotional wreck. In terms of what I get with accommodative services, it's basically just a separate area for a test, because if I can hear any sound while I'm taking a test, it's really obnoxious. I'm also very sensitive to loud noises. I don't like being touched at all. So if you try to hug me, please no. But that's about it for me, so yeah.
Alex, if you don't mind, I'm gonna start the next question out then at that end. And
Oh dear
we'll
God.
come back to you if that's okay.
That's fine.
So, as a student with a disability,
Uh,
how would you describe your education in elementary and secondary school? And how does college compare? So first, let's start off with how it was in elementary school.
Terrible. I hated it. I actually hated everything in terms of public schooling. It was god awful. A lot of people treated me like dirt because of my disability, and it was just not an enjoyable time. People didn't really understand, and I actually had some violent tendencies because of my disability. So people were either afraid of me, hated me, or were somewhat kind to me, but still kind of jerky. But in terms of just public schooling, it's downright awful. I did not like it at all. But to answer the second question about college, so much better. Like, oh my God, I am loving college. It's kind of lonely because I have a medical single, so I don't go out as much as I would like to, but it's so much better. People actually like to talk to me. People want to be my friend. I actually have friends for once in my life. It's just a greater experience. I love college.
Can I interrupt for just a second? I just saw, Alex, on the news yesterday that Sesame Street now has an
Yes.
autistic character, so maybe things in elementary school will.
That would be nice.
As far as elementary school goes, I had to go to 2 schools because I moved when I was 9. So my first school I was at, it was pretty fine. It was because I was so young, I really didn't acknowledge my disability, so I didn't have people picking at me. I didn't have really people who talked about me and like downgrading me and stuff. I had people who actually wanted to be my friend because of the special treatment I got. Like I got to take people with me to lunch, or I got to go off of my school grounds to go for walks and stuff. So I had people who actually wanted to be around me and watch me learn Braille and read Braille books. So they thought it was cool. They thought it was interesting, and I hadn't yet had my surgery yet that gave me my transplant from my left eye. So I didn't really get a lot of people staring at me. They just asked why my eye was closed, or just certain things like that. I didn't get introduced to the cane yet, so a lot of my things that I have now weren't really an issue until I got to my second school, and I moved from the city of Rochester to East Orangepoint. And when I moved there, I'm a new kid. My eyes are looking a little different. They're wondering who's the girl whose eye is like that. I had an incident where I got glue in my eye, so rumors went around school. I was in 4th grade, so I really didn't talk to much people. I was nervous. It was a mess. I had people who did pick on me and who did like try to make me feel bad. I had times where I was really depressed, but then I turned a little violent in a way, which is I don't condone it at all, but that's how I kind of dealt with it to a certain extent. And I mean, I made it through. It just wasn't as easy as my first school. I had teachers who were supportive there. Surprisingly, every teacher I went through, they were supportive of me. I had people who did work with my accommodations and didn't really not understand what I needed and everything. So that was an easy transition as far as my education. But as far as friends go, it wasn't as simple, but it wasn't the worst. When I got to college, I had to learn how to adjust. When I first got here, I was very nervous because I'm a shy person, so I don't talk too much. I don't like to have people around. I like to have people around me. It's just when I'm first meeting you, I'm very reserved. I'm very quiet. I don't know how to really have a conversation sometimes because of my disability. But surprisingly, people weren't as mean as my elementary school. People weren't saying things about me. If they asked the question, they asked it politely. They weren't rude about it. So it made it much easier for me to be more open about my disability and talk about it with people and actually go out and not be afraid to use my magnifier in public to see something. I still am not using my cane. I probably will never use my cane here. But the environment of Potsdam, it made it much easier for me to adjust, and you know, I was able to talk, and when I need help from one of my friends, I'm like, okay, I need you to look for me when I come in there because you know I'm not going to be able to see you, and it's easier to like work with people because the environment is so much easier. So it's a big difference from like my elementary school to college. So.
Okay. Well, with elementary school, it was alright. The teachers didn't really suit exactly what my needs were. They didn't understand my background so much, and eventually I had to like switch schools because I actually failed and eventually had to get left back and then started over in 2nd grade. So I was like a year older than most of the kids and stuff, but they didn't know that. So it was like hard to adjust to a new school. Teachers had to like realize where I was coming from and how there was a certain way of me learning, because I easily can become distracted from anything. Like you can run past me or you can talk, and then I'll just like focus on you rather than my work. So I will like have to find a place where it'll like have a quiet room for myself or whatever. It was just really hard, especially when it came to middle school and high school, because most of my teachers didn't really know how to like come about with tests and how I should take it and how like to come about it really. There was one teacher in high school that I had told them that I had ADHD and ADD, and he was like, that's not real, that's fake. And I'm just like, how are you supposed to tell me, how you're gonna tell me what I have and how it's not real, because it does affect me. I may not act it out in class because I learned how to control myself, well I tried to, and even when I was a kid, I hated that I was different. So there was these pills that I would take. It was called Concerta. it was really like thick and white and stuff, and I had to take it for me to focus in school. But I think that was honestly BS. They didn't work for me, honestly. My mom would give it to me. I'll go in the bathroom, throw the pillow in the toilet, flush it, and go on my merry way. Like, I wanted to prove to her that I can focus and stuff, and I just would prove people wrong that just because I have ADD doesn't really make me different. I just have different needs, but it doesn't make me different. In college, it's a different story. I mean, I learned how to do certain things on my own rather than asking for so much assistance, but it's hard to approach my teacher to ask more time on something, or if I have an assignment, I'm scared to like ask for an extension because I don't like complaining, and I feel like with my pride, I'm very prideful, so I worry about others because I'm pretty sure others have it more harder than I do, so I'll just do what I can, and if the outcome doesn't come the way I want it, then that's my own fault, which I need to fix and need to learn how to ask for more help than the amount of help that I already have asked. But so yeah, that's all I need to come up with myself. But yeah, cause it's okay.
I just became paralyzed 2 years ago, so I didn't have a problem in elementary school at all. And I was actually working on my associate's degree. I was like halfway done when it happened, so I'd already made some friends there. So as soon as I became paralyzed, I reintegrated into college, and it was no problem with my friends. But coming here, on the other hand, some people are friendly, but most people, like when they walk by you, they put their head down, and I'm sure a lot of people don't know what to say to you. But yeah, for the most part, I think a lot of people just really don't know what to say to you. And so they're pretty standoffish, but I really had no problem adjusting, moving school, so.
Wow. Here we go, long story. For elementary school, I moved around a lot because my dad works in hospitality, so he would always be moving around from hotel to hotel, and I would have to follow him around. But two main schools that I had going to when I was in elementary school and secondary school was Saranac Lake and Ballston Spa, which, for those of you who don't know where Ballston Spa is, it's right next to Saratoga, the geographically challenged. But Ballston Spa, absolutely terrible. Oh, this is where I would get picked on all the time by students and teachers who clearly had nothing better to do with their time than pick on one poor little kid. This is where I didn't have a lot of friends because nobody would really talk to me. They would purposely avoid me because I was so different from everybody else. And it just so happened to me, I don't know if it's just my luck or what the heck it was, but I always had a one-on-one aide because none of the, at least this elementary school in Ballston Spa, didn't have a single elevator. So she had to make sure that I could get everywhere that had stairs. Yes, imagine me having to walk up and down stairs God knows how many times a day. Ooh. And she, along with many of the other aides that I had, because I was always complaining about how mean they treated me, and the school really hated me for that, because they were terrible. No offense to anybody in the room, but I cannot stand Christian fundamentalists because of elementary school. I had all these people who were my aides saying, oh, you're a spawn of Satan. You know, you weren't supposed to live. You're different from everybody else. You should be dead. Or God doesn't love you. Or something stupid like that, which personally I'm an atheist, so that doesn't bother me. I thought it was fun to sort of, see how far I could push them. But there was that. Then comes high school. And this is the story. Before I moved back to Saranac Lake, I was still in Ballston Spa, where because I'm a diabetic, I have to eat food in class. And it just so happened that my freshman year in high school, I had an algebra class during the time when I have to eat my morning snack, which still is to this very day a little can or thing of Mott's applesauce. And this teacher comes up to me stares me straight in the face, says, "You cannot eat in here. Those are the rules. The rules of the school are ironclad, and I will not break them. I will make no exception for you." And I said to her, "Well, what if something happens to me? Would you have that on your conscience?" She says to me, "You could drop dead for all I care. I don't care what happens to you." So for the rest of the semester, for the rest of the year, I would have to take my snack, leave class for 10 minutes, eat it, and come back. I already am terrible at math, so you can imagine how my average sunk like a dead weight because I had to be absent every day for 10 minutes because I had to eat a snack because the teacher wouldn't let me eat it.
So Alexander, how does college compare to all of those experiences?
It's the same old crap. I still, to this very day, thankfully none of the teachers who are in the room now are a part of this, so don't feel that I am including you in this. But I still get teachers who refuse, under any circumstances, to give me what I need. I have been asked, and this is my favorite one over the past couple of years, I sort of get to talking with them, they're like, "No, we're not going to give you accommodative services." I say, "Yes, I will go to Sharon House, I will get you to do this," which I have done in the past, and she knows very well. And their response to me is, "Geez, why couldn't you just have been born normal?"
No, wow.
So,
Well, I too, Alex, went to a school that didn't have elevators, but I couldn't walk the stairs very well, so their solution was to carry me up the stairs at times. So I've dealt with that too. One of the biggest challenges that I dealt with when I was in high school is I was out for a period of time. Not only did I not have an assistant through elementary and high school, my school thought that it was my students and my peers' place to take care of, do all my personal assistant activities. So you know how kids are in a elementary and high school, they may be your friend one day and they may be mad at you the next. So I always had to worry about who was going to help me, how I was going to get to the bathroom, and all of those things. But one of the biggest things that I had to deal with is when I was in high school, I had to have a surgery on my back, and word had gotten around that I pretty much almost didn't make it from the surgery. And one of the biggest changes I had is when I went back to school after being out of school for 4 months, none of the students wanted anything to do with me. For a long time, they were a little bit standoffish for a few months. And they just didn't quite know how to act around me. And it took me a little while probably about 6 or 8 weeks to acclimate back into that. But one of the things that I did have going for my school was I attended the same school from K through 12. So I didn't get all of the bullying that a lot of our students get today because I came up with the same small group of kids. There were like 30 kids in my class. So that was one of the things that I was very lucky that I didn't have to deal with. Coming to college, one of the main things that I did from the very beginning was say that I was not coming without a personal assistant because I wasn't going through all of the stresses that I did every time that I did that. So I've always had a personal assistant with me at college. And the accommodations have always been what I needed them to be. They were basically moving classrooms and things like that to make things accessible, trying to get through the snow, as I'm sure we're all aware in the North Country. I did have one situation where I had to leave school for a 2-year period because I was being diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And when I came back, I was told by the school that I couldn't have my teaching degree because they had changed the requirements. But luckily, I was able to work with some professors on campus. They helped me go to Syracuse and Albany and get that degree back so that I wouldn't have to start everything all over again because I was just about done with my degree at that point. So college has been totally different for me than what my high school and elementary days were. I didn't have as many stresses and worries on me. And even as a faculty working here at SWD Potsdam, compared to other places that I've worked, because I'm working in an environment where I'm working with some of the same people that I had as professors or that I know, I don't have to prove myself as much because they already know me. Where when you go to apply for a different job or work with a different job, a lot of times all they see is my wheelchair. They don't even know about my other disability because God forbid if I ever told him that, I wouldn't have a chance of getting the job. So I don't have to deal with as much of that here. But I do work another job and I do have to deal with, some issues there with it.
Can you tell the Dunn Hall elevator story?
I will tell that. I think it was probably when I was a sophomore, I was over in Dunn Hall to take a class, and we all have these nightmare stories, right, of our things that have happened on campus with our disability. And I was able to get upstairs fine from Dunn Hall, but when I left the class, the elevator would not stop on my floor. It just kept going from third to first.
That's great.
So I wasn't really sure how I was gonna get down, because I'm not exactly a lightweight, and neither is my chair. My chair weighs about 300 pounds. So I was like, how do we do this? So I was lucky to get a hold of Sharon, and I think we called Physical Plant, and they came over and really couldn't find anything wrong with the elevator. So I had to get in it and ride down, but it was okay. It didn't end up being a major.
Well, it was a good thing that she had a cell phone because, well,
Yeah.
I mean, there was an alarm in the elevator too, but.
Well, I couldn't get in the elevator.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. So, yeah. So that, I mean, we have replaced the elevator and done, which is a good
Yes.
thing, because that was
And
scary to get
flag.
on, but, yeah, so.
All right, so very good so far, everyone. So I know that a lot of you don't like to brag, and neither do I, but this next question, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to start down with Josh, or up with Josh, sorry. Can you tell me what your biggest personal accomplishment is?
Well, the fact that I've managed to actually stay here and have, believe it or not, a 3.7 GPA, which even my advisor, who was I'm not saying who it is, because I don't want you to, send hate mail to his door, but he was like, when I went to him for registering for this term right now, he looks at my GPA on Bear Den and he goes, that is way higher than I ever expected you to have. And I said, why? And he said, well, because people with cerebral palsy, they aren't all that good up here. And I was like, yeah.
Chad?
I would say just going from walking, doing all these outdoor activities every day, and working like 3 jobs, to having to sit into a wheelchair, and just get out into society. How was I gonna be a person again, and how was I gonna go about doing that? And it was a huge challenge for me, but at the same time, it was probably my biggest accomplishment. Just like getting out there, basically letting a fire under my ass, and getting things done, and got back to school, and that's what happened.
My biggest accomplishment was actually making it to college, because I'm the first cruise in the family to attend college, and despite that my mother has been deceased, I'm pretty sure she's proud of me. I had a few teachers and other people that I would not name that doubted me on taking certain classes and whatever, saying that I wouldn't pass their class or whatever the case may be. But I proved them wrong, because I'm not the type of person to give up so easily. So despite my disability, I made it through, and during my spring semester, I got 3.7. My overall GPA is a 3.6, so I'm very proud of myself. And without the people who supported me, who know me, and they're giving me advice, especially Sharon helping me along the way with getting the services I needed, I'm very content with myself, and I'm happy to say that I will continue moving forward with this.
My biggest accomplishment, I have to say, would be actually graduating high school and getting accepted here to SWD Panel, because I've always been a good student. I've always been like an honor student and always been getting high grades. It's just I never expected. It's like something's gonna happen, but then something just tells you, nah, you're not gonna get into college. No, you're not gonna do this. And I always doubted myself, and I'm worried about how I would do if I did get into college. Especially with my disability, considering how it's a whole entire new school. I'm coming up here by myself. I don't know anything about it. I never visited. So if I did get accepted, how would I do it? It's just I looked at all the negatives, and I really put myself down, and then I didn't know I got accepted until way, like, really late, close to probably say March, May. That's when I knew I got accepted, because I found a letter that my mom had accidentally threw out, so it kind of like lowered my confidence about it. So to actually get accepted and actually graduate with my sanity, and like, I was like, wow, I did it, like, oh my gosh. So, and then to see that I'm actually here, actually doing it, and my mom's proud of me, because I'm the first of her children to actually go to a real college, like a campus, and actually live away from home. She's really proud of me, and I'm proud of myself. Like, I still can't believe it, but it's coming.
You had to ask me this question. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you people. I hate when people ask me what's my greatest accomplishment, because I don't think anything I've done has ever been good. That's part of my disability. I think everything I've done is shit. So if I had to honestly say something that is possibly good about me, or what I've done in my life, I would have to say two things, I guess. One, obviously getting into college, because I'm smart, but I'm also very antisocial. So the idea that I actually got into college, and I'm going to be also perfectly honest, this is the only school I applied to. Only school. So I was pressing my luck there. But both my parents graduated from here, so that was kind of helpful. But the other thing I'd have to say is I actually got a scholarship to, I believe, RIT? I don't know, it was something in Rochester. And that was the first time, and I swear to God, first time I ever saw my dad cry. Because he got so flippin' emotional. I didn't even know I got it. I got up on stage, accept the award. I thought it was just an award, because I've gotten plenty of awards in my life. And then I talked to my parents, like, do you know I got a scholarship? I was like, what the? I got a scholarship to a school I've never even heard of? But it's cool. But yeah, I guess I would have to say those are my two greatest accomplishments, only because it's about the only two good things I've actually done in my life thus far, I guess. Alright, I'm done.
Josh, I don't like to talk about that too much either. But one of the greatest accomplishments that I think I have achieved is becoming a teacher, because when I was in high school, I wasn't even given the chance to, I was kind of pushed into business secretarial track, because I had really good grades. I also don't have a problem learning, but because I have cerebral palsy, that same stigma is there, that we have issues learning. So I really had to step outside that box and push that in order to change people's attitudes about it. But I thank you for sharing all this, because this is not easy information to share all the time, so I appreciate it. So now I've asked you what your biggest personal accomplishment is. I want to know what your biggest challenge is. And I will start so that I can give you a chance to think about that for a second. My biggest challenge is I was used to having cerebral palsy. But about 10 years ago, when I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease or inflammatory bowel disease, I had to learn to change my life completely, because it's an autoimmune disease, so it plays with my immune system. And I was going into a job. I was almost finished with my degree for teaching, and you're constantly with kids and constantly in germs. And not only that, it affected my day-to-day life. I usually have to get up about 5 hours before I have to go to work or class to kind of control the symptoms of my Crohn's, because I can't be teaching a class and running in and out of the classroom 5 and 10 times to go to the bathroom and all of those things that come with it, and all of the other challenges that come with it, hospitalizations. Like if I get the flu, I don't end up down for a couple of days. I end up in the hospital for like 2 to 4 weeks. So I have to juggle all of those things. So that's been a challenge, because it was almost like changing the disability and changing my life that I was used to. So.
Okay, this is very
Okay.
random, but like, how many hours of sleep do you get then? You said 5 hours, right?
I have to get up 5 hours, but it depends on the day of what I'm doing. Like last night I got about 6 hours because I was teaching a late class, and then I had to get up and do more things today. When I student taught.
So you get up 5 hours before you go anywhere,
Yes,
ever? Always,
ever.
regardless of whether or not you're
Yeah.
teaching?
It's just a matter of, it's not much different than doing shift work. People that work shift work, like when I student taught, I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning and went to bed at 6 o'clock at night. You're still able to accomplish the same a number of things in a day. You just kind of have to switch how you do it and when you do it. I drive my parents a little bit crazy sometimes because I'm up at 2 in the morning, but a lot of times they're going to bed when I'm getting up, so you never know. It's just a matter of switching it around.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing.
Well, I guess I had to pick 2 challenges. Well, actually, 1 challenge because I can think of right now because I had to face it to get in here. The handicap doors on this campus. It takes forever for the maintenance to fix the doors on this campus. I remember freshman year, we had the handicap door and flag didn't work. And I decided, let's see how long it takes them to fix it. This was in September. Guess how long it took before it was fixed? January! And to think that this building already, because when I came into the library, right on the handicap door it said, out of order. Let's see how long it takes for the handicap door in this building to get fixed.
Josh, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
When you see a door or elevator or something like that that's not working, do you notify Sharon or anybody? Because a lot of times, I'm not saying all the time, but a lot of times they don't realize, if you don't use the buildings and the campus throughout the week, a lot of times that they don't realize that those things are broken.
Yes, we did notify Sharon House once, and that was the time when we waited until January for it to get fixed.
I
So-
have to say, I use the, handicap doors all the time, just to make sure they're working, and if they're not, I immediately.
And sometimes, I know the elevator in Satterley Hall one of the elevators was not working, for a couple different semesters, off and on. And a lot of times it's not that, not always that they don't have time to get to it, it's that they're waiting for certain parts or certain things, but that's not always the case. But one of the ways that we can kind of combat that is to let Sharon know or let someone know when we see that happening.
I usually put a work order in, and they, typically they're pretty good, I think, but yeah, no, I agree with you, it's gone.
Mhm.
It's gone long.
Luckily, I haven't had the Satterley Hall issue because that's where most of my classes are. Ooh.
Well, and it's hard, like, for Chad too, because you don't have an attendant with you, so, that makes it even more difficult.
So Chad, what's been your biggest challenge?
Well, I live in Lehman on the first floor, and there's no rooms on the ground floor, so I have to take an elevator up and down. And if the power goes out, the elevator's down, or if there's a fire alarm, or if there's a real fire, then I have no way of getting out. They have to come in. They said they would come carry me out, I
And that's
guess,
the same thing they tell
if need
me.
be. And I've had a lot of times the elevators just stop working. You can't even get inside of them because they're down. That's pretty frustrating.
Yeah, that is pretty frustrating. It happens.
Ted, do you have a roommate?
No, I live by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so in the middle of the night, because I know I used to live in Lehman, and sometimes Lehman Dining Center will have a fire, and that means the quad has to leave. So in that instance, it could be 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I remember I used to be an RA, and we used to tell students that if they don't leave their rooms, then they can get in trouble for not evacuating. So how is that for you? Because I know they shut down the elevators.
Sometimes, I was told that by someone that I can actually stay in my room if it's not a real fire.
Okay.
But if it is real, then the police
Yeah.
will come up and get me. But apparently, if there is a real fire, the elevator will stop. But if if the elevator's on the first floor, I can get in it and go down, and then I'd be locked out of it until it's fixed.
How would you know if it's a real fire or not?
They said they would come get me. That's all I know.
So you
Yeah.
just stay put
Yeah,
until.
just kind of wing it.
I'm just gonna step in for a second, Chad, because I have a similar experience. That's not a policy, that's strictly for SWD Potsdam. I was teaching it's a policy all over, just a general policy. I was teaching at Norwood Norfolk School, and I was student teaching, and the alarm went off. And Norwood Norfolk School had a policy that they would call me on the phone if it was a drill, and I would literally, if I was teaching a lesson, have to drop it right there in the middle of a problem and head for the elevator. So we just assumed that they didn't call me one day for the fire. So I sent my students outside, and luckily I have an assistant with me, because about 5 minutes into it, I hear the fire trucks pulling into the yard with sirens blaring. So I got a little bit nervous, checked down the hallway, shut the door, all of those things. It went on for about 10 minutes, and my mentor teacher flew back up the stairs and told me to head for the elevator. But because I had an issue with my students trying to throw things underneath my wheelchair, because, you know, pencils and things like that, because they make a nice little noise when you run over them, my class was aware how heavy my chair was. And I got outside and I had to think really fast, because not only am I trying to sneak outside, right? Because I don't want to call attention to myself. I'm not supposed to be in that building. But I was departmentalized, so I had 60 students that I was working with, and all 60 students thought I was burning in the building.
Oh.
So they're all screaming as I come out the door. So I'm trying to like hide. And they wanted to know how I got my heavy chair down the stairs. So I had to kind of tell them a fib and tell them that we put my wheelchair in the elevator, and that my mentor teacher carried me down the stairs. So it's not a statewide SUNY or a SUNY policy. It's a statewide policy. So, and it's not much fun. It makes you a little bit nervous when the alarms go off. Sandra?
The only challenge that I really have is in the classroom. Like, there's different teachers that I will meet. Different teachers have different teaching styles, and some may go fast and some may go at the same pace as that I like. And when some of the teachers who go fast, it's like I don't wanna stop the class from like repeating the same thing that he or she has already said, and then other students get annoyed. But sometimes I may need to ask, because it is my disability and I need to know exactly the materials that I need so I can like learn from the class or whatever. And it's just a challenge to stop the class. So I still need to figure out how to go about it, because it's hard trying to keep up with everybody else and doing my notes and like paying attention and then doing my notes, and then like the teacher goes on to another topic. I'm just like, crap, thanks. And I have to like look over a neighbor or whoever like is my friend in the class, or somehow make a friend in the class. I'll ask for their notes or what they get up on that, what the teacher has been saying, and I would just write down little notes. So
I have two key challenges. Well, challenges that I have to do. One of them is walking in at night. That's one of my biggest problems. I've always had that problem because I can't really see in the dark too well. It's gonna take me a while to get used to my surroundings, and even then, it has to be kind of like I have to have lights around me to see where I'm going. I remember this one time I stayed in the library my first semester, and I was in the library late, and I came out this way, and I didn't know where I was at. And I was like, okay, just think about it. You still got the map in your bag. Look at the map and try to figure out where you're at. It was a mess. I got lost. I ended up somewhere over by Satterley, the stairs over by there. I got scared. I kind of cried a little bit because I didn't know where I was at. And there was so much snow and it was dark. And I was like, okay, retrace your steps, go back and go the way you kind of know. And then I saw the statue, so I kind of just went that way. It was a mess. So stuff like that is a problem. And then when I'm going out, I have to have my friend. I'm like, okay, Tasha, hold my hand, because I can't see in the dark. And I may trip here and there, but it's all played out to me having to watch where I'm going a little bit, and also because I can't see in the dark. Where I live in Irondequoit, there's no street lights, so when I come home at night, that's also a big problem for me. And if my phone's dead and I don't have a flashlight for me, it's all bad, and I have to walk really slow. Another problem is having a conversation with people, because I don't look directly at people. I look around. I can't make direct eye contact because I'm always worried about someone staring at me or asking questions. I'm still working on getting over that, but I find that a big problem considering it's not very polite. And it took my mom a while to realize that I was doing that, because when I was talking to her, she was like, "Are you looking at me or are you looking at my bed?" I was like, "No, I'm looking at your lamp. I am not looking at you." And she was like, "Why do you do that?" I was like, "I don't look at people. I don't. It's been a habit of mine, so that's also a problem. So it's just something I do."
Socialization. That's fun, said no one ever. Because I have several things that disable me from being able to do that. Eye contact. I hate eye contact. It's terrible. I can't look at people in the dead straight face. And I get yelled at for that. Why? It's some countries don't even keep eye contact. So it's like, why does our nation have to agree that eye contact is polite? It's crazy. Obviously, I mentioned the touching. I don't like being... Handshakes are a little bit okay. If I want the hug, I'll ask. But typically, I do not like being touched, so that is awkward for socialization. And there's the idea that I talk way too fast. So people have a hard time understanding what I have to say. And then there's the idea that people are afraid of me sometimes. Sometimes they're worried what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to mention this story, because I didn't want to, but I'm going to. I was a treasurer for a club I was in at SWD Potsdam. And literally, I took on the entire responsibility of the treasury business, which means I actually got us out of the deficit we were in. Stupid mistake. Made me so stressed out, it was crazy. And then I had a mental breakdown because at the club meeting, and it was so bad, and I literally screamed at people, I burst into tears, I didn't threaten anybody for once, but that was when I truly learned that socialization has helped me a little bit, because I had friends comforting me. But at the same time, I actually lost friends because they were afraid of me. So socialization is not fun. I don't know why we focus so much onto that in society. Well, duh, it's society. But it's a very hard thing for me, only because of Asperger's, really. So socialization is not fun.
Alright, so what is one thing that you would like your instructors here at SWD Potsdam to know about your experience as a student with a disability?
Well, mostly because this unfortunately has happened more than I would like it to. I would like my instructors to know that I did not choose, and I'm sure I'm speaking for most of the people here, we did not choose to be born abnormally or have disabilities happen to us. We are still people too. We have feelings. Please do not treat us like clods of dirt.
I think you probably just spoke for the entire panel, at least on that one aspect. Chad, anything different?
I think I see like 5 different specialists, and sometimes it takes like 9 months to get into them. And so when I have an appointment with them, I can't miss it because it's taken so long to get into it. So I just hope my instructors would accommodate me and understand. Same thing with getting sick. If I get sick, if I get the flu, you said I'll be down for 2 weeks, and I just hope we could kind of work something out.
Just to understand that what we come from and how we go about certain things, don't judge us, and just respect us because we're human too. Doesn't make us any different, any less of a person or any of that. Just, try to work with us, be willing to help other students who may or may not have the same or different disabilities. Just help us, really.
I would say mine would be to trust me and believe me when I say I'm not lying about something. Like, I've had professors and teachers who didn't believe me when I said I literally cannot pay attention right now because I do get bad headaches because of my medication if it's not taken when it's supposed to, or just because my eyes can hurt so bad it can give me a really bad headache and I can't focus, or I have to leave the room for a little bit, or I can't stay in class, or I can't take the notes, or I can't do something to contribute to the class. And sometimes my professors or my teachers will not believe me. They think I'm lying just to get out of class or to just not do that. No, I would like to stay caught up in what's going on. It's just if there's something wrong with my eyes or my head is pounding, literally, I can't focus because it's too much for me. And I have to use my magnifier and hold it up and squint a little bit so it doesn't help. So I would like for them to understand that about me as well. But,
their personal issue in believing when someone says something. So
Let me ask questions. I will honestly tell this story because it pisses me off every time I think about it. I had several teachers in high school tell me you can ask 3 questions a class. And that annoyed me to no end because I like to learn. I like to be educated. Swear words aside. But because I like to ask questions, because I like to learn, I want teachers to understand if I'm raising my hand, it's because I want to learn and not because I want to just prolong the class and don't learn something else. I like to learn, I want to be participant, and because people are like, there's another story I'm going to share. I remember this recently. I was asking some questions or answering questions of my English teacher back in high school, and one student literally said, "Please stop answering the questions." And I said, "Well, why don't you raise your hand?" Because I was the only one in that class that day raising my hand and curious in answering these questions. And thankfully, I love this guy to death, my English teacher. He sided with me because he knew I was different and I was actually trying to learn. So if there's one thing I really absolutely want teachers to know about me, when I'm asking questions, I want to learn. So there's that.
One of the things that people don't understand is when we're doing these talks, we have to tell like some of the not so great experiences that happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
But like Josh said, we've had many, many teachers and individuals in our lives that have really changed, how we do things and how we look at it. One of the things that there is a handout for person first language, and I've heard many of the panel participants say that we're people first. And that's one of the things that people don't understand. They see our disability and don't realize that we have a whole realm of other responsibilities and other things in life that we do besides this disability. That is just a small part of who we are. So, now that we're on to the topic of society, I'm going to ask you this. Can you talk about how you feel about the way that society views your disability? And maybe one thing that you would like to see change?
One thing, and I particularly know this from personal experience, not so much in college, but from high school and stuff. People, well, a little bit from college, but people tend to think, and I'm sure you can probably say this as well, that people that have cerebral palsy for some reason are not able to maintain the mainstream sort of existence that the rest of us are. Granted, there are some people that are like that, but some of us, myself included, and I know quite a few other people who are a lot like me that are more what people would call normal, but they try to bunch us up together into the same sort of group, and they try to make it so that all of us have to apply by the same sort of rules and regulations and stereotypes that people who have cerebral palsy that aren't as functioning as us have to apply to. And to just showcase this, I recommend that anyone, when they go home over winter break, particularly students and professors, well, you guys live at home anyway, you can do this whenever you want. Go to your school, your regular school that's in your hometown, and just look in on the special education room and try to find the one student with cerebral palsy that is, I guess, the worst off, and then try to envision what the teachers are trying to do for that kid who needs it that way. They're trying to make that sort of a blanket policy to fit everyone with cerebral palsy, and that doesn't work. And the one thing I would like to see is sort of an acknowledgement that cerebral palsy affects everybody differently, not always in the same way.
You know, Josh, you bring up a really good point, and I totally agree with you. But there's other disabilities, and I'm sure the individuals on the panel, a lot of them probably also feel that same way, because whatever type of disability that you have, I think society tries to compare you to someone else. So we're not the only ones, because we have CP, that that deal with that.
Right, and I'm not saying that,
Yeah.
I'm just using it myself as
No,
an
no, I
example.
understand. But I just wanted to make that point, because I think it's a society, you know, all across the disabilities. So Jen?
I have a couple of friends that are paraplegics actually, and we all came to the same conclusion that people that aren't in wheelchairs tend to feel bad for us. So like when it comes to opening a door, they'll always like open a door for you, or like try to grab if you're struggling. Like when I go to the grocery store in my manual chair, I actually push a shopping cart with me, and people like look and like try to help. And so you actually have to put your head down, because I know it sounds bad, but it's really nice that everyone's trying to help out. But like I'm trying to be independent and live my own life, and
I'll be honest, sometimes it's nice and sometimes it is not nice. Sometimes you don't want to deal with that for the day. You are done dealing with that for the day. So, go ahead.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, I can. What is one thing the how society views you that you would like to change how they think about your disability?
I guess when sorry, I don't know, just saying that I have to look a certain way, because I have ADD, because I look normal, and since a bunch of people who don't know or do know that I have ADHD or ADD, they always say that, oh, you don't act like it, you don't look like it. I mean, I don't have to look like anything. I don't have to act like anything. I am who I am. You can't tell me what I am or what I'm not. And that's what I want to change, because you don't have to be something. You don't have to dress a certain way to be this person. I'm tired of it. I hate people being stereotypical or describing a certain way, because that's not how I'm viewed. That's not how we are viewed. And I just wish people will stop being so ignorant or saying things that they think that they're getting from society or what their personal reason is, but because it's not true. I am who I am. I don't have to be a certain way. I don't have to act a certain way. I know I have ADHD and ADD, and I'm proud to say that I have the disability. I'm proud to say that we all actually have participated in this despite our nervousness or whatever we had to deal with. So, like, in general, don't like portray us to something else of what we are or what we're not. That's all I have to say.
I agree with everything she just said 100%. That's what I was gonna say. Like the stereotypes is just, that's one of my main issues. Like when I'm out and a perfect stranger just asks me, "Oh, you blind in one eye?" No, I'm not blind in one eye. I have a disability. I am visually impaired. There's a difference between blind and visually impaired, and it's annoying to have to explain that over and over, especially to someone who has such an ignorant viewpoint of it, and they're gonna think even after I explain my disability, which I shouldn't have to do to you if I don't feel the need to. If you want to think that, go ahead, but don't sit and make me feel worse about myself and say, "Oh yeah, you're blind in one eye, that's it." Or don't call me names, and don't say, "Oh, why don't you have a cane? Why don't you use a dog? Well, you can't see that, you can't see this." Like the rude and ignorant part of it, of them stereotyping me. And yes, I have a disability, but I'm not completely blind. I can't do things for myself. I don't need this. I don't need that. If I do need it, I will get it myself. I don't need everyone's help unless I ask for it. That's one of my personal views. And to stereotype someone with their disability in categories that rise them into stuff, which I'm sure everyone has a problem with over here. It's annoying and it's aggravating as hell. It really does. It really bothers me, and it's just something I can't stand personally. Like, stop doing that. It's just annoying.
I'm about to get like super dark because that's what I'm good at. Because of at least my mental disability and how society has dealt with mental disabilities. Bank psych centers, yay! People who feel that crazy I'm gonna go into shooters. People who do mass shootings at like movie theaters and schools and stuff. Yeah, some of them may be medically challenged in terms of mental disability, but some people are just evil. Some people are just flippin' evil. People will shoot people up, and no mental disability has to be there. So the idea that people think I'm crazy or might want to shoot people is downright despicable. I'm not into violence. Violence is dumb. I don't believe in war. I don't believe in how much money we spend on the military. That's political. I don't want to get into that right now. But honest to God, I am so flipping tired of people saying, you don't look crazy. You don't look like you have a mental disability. I mean, it's called a spectrum for a reason. There are different types of people who are autistic. I mean, I'm high functioning, which means I can deal with shit better than some people can. I can talk, which is very rare for people who are autistic. Not saying it's like that for everybody, but I've seen some quiet autistics, and it is scary what they can do. I've been in several different special educational classes where, oh my God, I saw this one girl who was completely autistic, could not speak. She flipped her lid, and it was really scary. That scared me as a child. Saying like, I could be like that, but I don't want to be. I want to be a better person. I want to be able to control my anger. I want to be able to control my hardships with my disability. And I know you mentioned that you don't like taking medication, and that's completely your deal. I take medication. I need that shit. Because if I did not take that, I'd be totally worse off. I don't want to get into what medication I take, but depression or antidepressants and helping agent of the antidepressant, and it's really helpful. I love my medication. Sometimes it doesn't work. That's more of a me thing. I sometimes just let my anger let loose. But in all honesty, considering me crazy, dumb. Really dumb. I don't like that at all.
Josh, I too deal with that because I deal with a lot of medications for my Crohn's. And people don't understand that. They think that I'm just popping pills or doing, one of my medications is an IV form. And it's like $11,000, and they think that I'm just wasting the money or using it as the most expensive way out. And I didn't have any other option left by the time that I went on that. So.
Just as a precaution, I'm Alexander.
Oh,
You've called me Josh several times.
I'm sorry.
I'm not being rude. I just want to make sure when you call me
That's
Alexander,
okay.
I know you're talking to me.
That's okay.
It's the
Thank
dark
you
hair
for
and the
checking.
glasses, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And you're both at the ends of the table.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I
Okay.
want to end this with one final question, and that is, what is one thing that you want people to know about you that has nothing to do with your disability? What is one thing that's you as a person?
Well, in my psychology class, considering my professor's already sitting there, I am a huge anime and manga fanatic. And yeah, plus it's my heritage. I mean, I have Japanese blood, it's my heritage. I would sit there at my grandma and grandpa's house watching, I don't know how she did this, but she managed to get Japanese TV in the US. No idea how she did that, but it was awesome.
I've been to like 100 concerts. It's like my biggest passion. I play
Like
guitar.
rock concerts?
Yeah, Big Fish is my biggest one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I play guitar, piano. I love learning new things. I kind of want to be a singer when I get older. Yeah.
I'm really goofy and loud. I am. I'm just like, I'm quiet when like I said, I'm very shy when I first meet people, but after a while I become like very goofy. I'm the annoying person who calls your names a million times just to say hi. And yeah, and I like to write.
I have played violin for nearly 11 years now. I have also liked to sew. I am a cosplayer, which is awesome. I love that. I'm actually going to be working on a cosplay for a convention I'm going to in April, hopefully. But I also like the anime and the manga.
Ooh.
I love that. What's your favorite set of curiosity?
One Piece and Akame Got Killed. I love General Estelle.
I'm more of a I'm a magical girl guy, so I like Sailor Moon. I like
Sailor Moon.
I'm a 90s goofball. I like cheesy 90s anime, Digimon, Pokemon to a certain extent. But I love music. I shared a story a couple times. I almost went to Crane, but I could not audition because I'm a chicken. So I did not audition. I might try in this spring because I was told when I looked into Crane that if you don't do it by your sophomore year, it's unlikely. So I'm a sophomore now, so I might try out. Don't quote me on that because I'm still a nervous wreck when it comes to that cred. But hey, if I'm a crane student next semester, then woo!
I will answer the question too, since I haven't asked you to answer anything that I won't. I have an incredible passion for horses, and I rode horses for like 9 years. And nobody thinks that you can do that if you're in a chair. So.
I can't imagine why you couldn't.
Thank you all so much for sharing your stories.